A big show today with a bunch of closing thoughts after World Finals, plus weekend results, and more context on the Kaiden Manders DQ and what will and won't happen next. Let's go. It's Sunday, November 9th. I'm Justin Fiedler. This is DIRTRACKR Daily presented by Kubota Genuine Parts. If you own Kubota equipment or you're maybe thinking about buying some, the myKubota app is a must-have. It's your all-in-one command center for keeping your machines running at their best. With real-time machine status, maintenance reminders, and diagnostic alerts, you'll always know exactly what's going on with your equipment. The app helps you stay ahead of downtime with service tracking and lets you log and organize all your Kubota equipment in one place. Need a manual or a maintenance schedule? They're right there in the app. No digging through papers or searching online. You can even look up fault codes, get step-by-step troubleshooting help, and watch how-to videos to keep your machine running smoothly. And when you need parts or service, myKubota instantly connects you to the nearest Kubota dealer, so help is never that far away. Whether you're running a big ag operation, you work construction, or just use Kubota equipment around the home, take control of your equipment and make ownership easier with the myKubota app. Download today from the Google Play or Apple App Stores. Click the link below in the video description or scan the QR code on your screen to get started. World Finals is officially in the books for 2025, and with it, the World of Outlaws Sprint Cars, Late Models, and Super DIRTCar Series seasons come to a close. David Gravel is now a two-time and back-to-back World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series champion. These point systems, they reward consistency, and nobody was anywhere near Gravel this season across sprint car racing in that department. The second most wins, the most top fives, and the most top tens. Along the way, he became a villain and one of the more polarizing drivers in the sport, and headed into 2026, he's again going to be the championship favorite. The pairing of he and crew chief Cody Jacobs, it works really well. And just like we saw from Brad Sweet, we could be moving into the David Gravel era where these guys are able to rip off, many titles in a row. We could be talking 3, 4, 5 in a row here. As good as 2024 was for the two, this 2025 season was the best ever for Gravel and one of the strongest complete seasons that we've seen in sprint car racing in years. An average finish right at 4th. He was in a single B main all year. He was in 59 of a possible 64 dashes and time trialed better than 3rd on average. And 17 wins is the most in an Outlaw season since Schatz had 22 in 2018. Love him or hate him, these guys, they're fast every single night. If you want to talk about possible challengers, I've thought for a while that we'd see Carson Macedo really push Gravel and maybe, kind of jump into fighting for that title, especially after what we saw from him in 2024. The 41 took a step back, though, this season. Not a big step, but definitely a step. And we really watched the emergence of Buddy Kofoid. I think Macedo and Philip Dietz are still one of the top teams and that maybe they just kind of need to suffer a few more downs before they really learn how to break through. And we kind of watched the same from Gravel for years to the point that I even wonder aloud if Gravel was capable of winning a title at all. Obviously, we know now that he's, proved me wrong. Back to Kofoid in his 2025, the Toyota engine has become much less of a liability, and that Kofoid-Dylan Buswell duel has really come into form. Double-digit wins and an average finish down near 5th kept them in the hunt here. They still need to work on a bit more consistency, and qualifying has to improve if they're really going to take the fight to Gravel. Kofoid has to sometimes do too much work come feature time, and starting just a tick closer to the front will relieve some of that pressure. I think the Roth 83 could be a real problem at the front next year, especially if they can get out of Volusia without being in a hole. But look for these guys to, again, maybe contend for the championship next year. 3 different sprint car winners at World Finals with Rico, Abreu, Gravel, and Kofoid all getting victories. Rico closed out a banger of a season with the win and 2 seconds after the high limit title. He'll be in Australia next month for a few shows, but this team will really be focused on the Tony Stewart Racing merger and getting everything put together for 2026. If you're looking to buy some sprint car stuff, TSR is having a big yard sale during that week of PRI. Of the new combinations we saw at Charlotte, Spencer Bayston with SJMR definitely looked the best. All 3 features made in top 5s the final 2 nights. I don't know if it's the fighting for his career part, but whatever shift has happened since Bayston was fired from the 14, it needs to stay for 2026. He's been a completely different driver and back to looking like the guy that has 5 career Outlaw wins, not the one who had a high limit average finish of 13.5 this year. Looking at the final standings, Gravel the champ, Kofoid 2nd, Macedo 3rd. Logan Schuchart ended up 4th for his best points finish since that magical 2020 season. Sheldon Haudenschild ended up 5th in his final time in the 17. Donnie Schatz held on to 6th and was on the Friday podium. He did go winless this season, though. Bill Balog was 7th, Garrett Williamson, the top rookie, in 8th, then Chris Wyndham, Cole Macedo, Hunter Schoenberg, Zach Hampton, Skylar G, and Connor Morrell. On the late model side, not a great weekend for Bobby Pierce, but his lead in the standings was big enough that it didn't really matter. Nick Hoffman, with finishes of 4th, 7th, and 8th, was able to close down the final gap to 56 points. That's 2 titles in 3 years for Pierce, and had it not been for the tire penalty in 2024, it would have easily been 3 in a row. Pierce will go to Sonoya next weekend to try and wrap up the Flow Racing Night in America title to earn his 2nd championship of 2025. Pierce not as dominant this season, but even with Hoffman taking a step forward, he had more than enough to secure the title. Pierce still though, with a staggering set of statistics in 2025, 30 wins, 65 top 5s, and 78 top 10s in 92 overall dirt late model races. For 2026, I think Hoffman will still be Pierce's main challenger, but I am curious about Tim McCreadie. It took those guys some time to sort the Boom Briggs program, but T-Mac ended up with the 2nd most Outlaw wins on the year and finished 4th in the standings. Definitely still work to do there, but a return to form for the veteran driver. Back to Hoffman, I like his career trajectory here. A big improvement in 2025 in terms of consistency, and still plenty of room to grow. 5 Outlaw wins, and we saw him competitive at a lot of the bigger dirt late model shows this year. I don't feel like he gets a lot of attention, especially compared to, Pierce and Davenport, RTJ, and the like. And for good reason, right? He hasn't accomplished, quite as much as those guys have to this point in his career. But I think he's just on the edge of being part of that larger conversation. Ryan Gustin's year, very similar to 2024, and while the Reaper is as good as anyone on any given night, that team is still missing that consistency. An average finish of about 9th, but only 27 top 10s in 43 races. They need to clean some stuff up to really be part of the title talk. The final rundown, Bobby Pierce, the champ, then Hoffman, Gustin, and McCreadie. Dennis Erb Jr. much improved this season, up to 5th. Drake Troutman 6th, Brian Shirley 7th, Cody Overton 8th, Tanner English 9th, and Ethan Dodson 10th. Then Dustin Sorensen, Jake Tim, Tristan Chamberlain, and Brent Larson. Late model wins at World Finals went to Hudson O'Neal and 2-4 Jonathan Davenport. JD had mechanical issues Thursday, so he could have maybe been up there, maybe for a sweep, if things would have got a little bit better for him. Hudson O'Neal, fast all weekend in Kevin Rumley's car. Drake Troutman with 3 podiums, and Brandon Shepard with a trio of top 5s and nearly a win. Your last chances to see the national guys in 2025 will be this coming weekend at Sonoya, then the Dome in a few weeks in December. So take advantage while you can. Weekend Super DIRTRACKR Series wins went to Matt Shepard, Alex Payne, and Matt Williamson. Money Matt, the series champion for the 3rd time in his career, and he also bagged the 358 title. He becomes only the 2nd driver to win both the SDS and 358 titles in the same year, joining the Dr. Danny Johnson, who did it in 1999. Williamson with 5 wins in 26 races, including the big one at Super Dirt Week. Alex Jankowski 2nd, Payne 3rd, Matt Shepard 4th, and Eric Rudolph rounded out the top 5. Drop your comments on World Finals, the championships, and whatever else is on your mind from the weekend. There are a number of other news items that came out of the last few days. We'll sort through all of that as the week goes on. So if there's something I didn't touch on today, don't worry, it's coming. Obviously, I have all of those things written down on my list. Other weekend dirt late model winners included Sam Seawright in Southern Thunder action at Clarksville. That was the final ever race at Clarksville, as the track is set to be acquired by the town. Dalton Cook, the Southern Thunder Series champion. Mike Harrison took the $5,000 win at Peevely, and Cade Dillard swept the 2 nights at the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track. In other sprint car action, Aaron Reitzel swept the Power Ride shows at Texas as well. Ayrton Jennington was crowned series champion there, and Mitchell Moles was the USAC CRI winner at Paris. Before we close out, I did want to update the Kaiden Manders situation that we talked about last week. In the aftermath of discussing it on the show, I received a number of messages from folks giving me a bunch more context and details about what happened and what's transpired in the week since. If you didn't watch or listen on the Thursday show, down at Perth Motorplex in Australia, Kaiden Manders was DQ'd from the October 18th 410 sprint car feature, but we have no public details as to why. Some information I was sent alluded to this having to do with the traction control detection device they are using in Australia, and that device supposedly being tampered with. Manders was originally scheduled to start on the pole of that feature, but his car had engine issues during fire-off and he pulled in. I said on Thursday that he ended up not starting the race, but that was incorrect. Manders did eventually get the car to fire after some time in the infield, and he tagged the tail of that field. Later on, during an open red for fuel, is when Manders was actually DQ'd, with officials tossing him for someone tampering with the traction control detection device. Multiple sources have told me Manders was facing up to a 12-month suspension for the whole thing, but the punishment was thrown out over paperwork snafus. Supposedly, forms weren't filled out properly and the paperwork wasn't submitted within the proper window to be properly adjudicated. So Manders and the Dan Golding Racing Team are clear on a technicality. Were they guilty of something larger, or was this just device malfunction and Manders is a victim here? We don't know. But no matter the case, they're free to race with no suspension or penalty incoming. Manders returned to Perth last weekend after initially not even entering and finished third in the 410 feature and won the midget main event. That's the show for you today. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday out there. We will see you right back here tomorrow.